got 3 more for next week, and she may have a couple recruits already. So
that's
we're
wonderful.
working with her, and I sent messages out to the other one. Cared one is working on it, but she got busy at her work. Colleen never reached back with me, and neither did Shannon, but Shannon has another person in her family who's sick. So I'm not too sure on that one.
Okay.
But
well, thank you for sharing, Janet, and you go enjoy your company. And
all right,
I will
sorry.
recruit. That's all right.
Okay.
Things come up. It's
all
right.
right. All right. Thanks.
I love you.
Okay. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 All right. Kels, do you feel comfortable sharing while you're driving, or would you rather not? Because that's fine. I'll unmute you. Oh, you have to hit it.
Okay, did that work?
Yes, I can. We can hear you. Did
Perfect.
you do your vision board or anything, or think of a vision for your team?
I've thought of a vision for my team, but I haven't done the actual board yet. But what I did do was I did a team Zoom meeting myself with some of my girls, and Kaylee was there for that, so that was really helpful. And I got some ideas from what they want out of everything moving forward, so I know how to help coach them better. And then when you brought up the vision boards, Kaylee, they were all like, what's that? I want to know what that is.
Good. That's exciting.
I think the boats totally got them hooked.
The boats. I am sad that I can't be like, who's going on a boat with me? I think my favorite's like, who's getting drunk on a boat? I might still do it. Oh, that's awesome, Kelsey. And I loved your Zoom meeting. Like, I actually, just the fact that Abby and Alexis were the ones that showed up shows a lot of potential in them.
Did she freeze?
Yep. So we are going to just go ahead and roll on. It's going to be us for now, but that's okay. The other thing that we talked about was how to put your personal business first and focusing on that. Have you had a chance over the last week to kind of practice that? And what did that look like for you? What did you feel like went really well? And were there any points that you felt like were maybe more challenging or more of a pain point for you?
Good question. So I have been feeling like this week, actually, I've had a lot more time to focus on my business, which, has helped. So I can, spend time working on my templates, kind of getting them revamped and ready for summer and things like that. I still feel like overwhelmed a lot of the times, and so it comes and goes. So like one week will be like great, and then by the time like Wednesday hits, like this week, I'm just like feel so burnt out that I have 7 parties going on this week, so it's just a lot, I think, that catches up with me. So I don't know, I've even been considering maybe taking it down to back to, anywhere from 4 to 6 parties and focusing more of my energy in my parties rather than spreading myself so thin. But it has been very refreshing being able to focus back on my business, because my 2 newest team members, they're kind of just rocking it on their own so far. They're getting set up for their parties. Their first parties start next week, so they're just working on their templates and stuff like that, getting ready to set everything up. So yeah, it's definitely been nice.
That's good. Do you feel like you did anything in particular, or maybe that there was a shift in this week that's been different than other weeks, of why you kind of felt like this week ran a little bit more smoothly?
I don't know. Probably just, I guess, not having so much pressure, trying to pressure myself into promoting this month. I know last month was just pretty stressful because that was, a huge goal, and I wanted it to happen so bad. So I was like focusing all of my efforts into recruiting, things like that. And then now it's like, okay, I'm going to try, filling up my calendar for now, and still,
Keep talking.
Still kind of focusing on recruiting, but my main goal is for right now is to get my calendar full and then start working on my hosts and my rock star guests, things like that. So I
And
think
that's,
it feels like some of the pressure's been taken off a little
yeah.
bit.
Kelsey, I'm just going to mute you while you're driving. But feel free to tune in or wave at me if you have something you want to say. So, Jeanette, that's going to be a normal flow in business. Like, there are going to be points where maybe the stakes are a little bit higher, so you're focusing your energy on something different. Like, there will be points where you're putting a lot of energy into something, whether that's promoting or sales or earning incentive trip. So there will be points where things feel a little bit more pressured, and then you can relax a little bit more. And you're also going to kind of have a revolving door, so to speak, of like where the majority of your energy is going. And that's okay, as long as you're taking care of what needs to be taken care of for your business and doing the things and putting that energy there. There will be months that you focus more on your team. Like, that's just the natural part of things. But completely losing focus on your business, that's not good, because you want to set an example for your team and lead by that example.
Yeah.
Like, if you're asking people to have 4 to 6 shows a week and you're not doing that, you'd be like, well, how am I supposed to do it if you can't do it?
Right.
Which you're already doing. And some of that, like, I remember I got to a point where I was having, I think I was up to 6 to 8 parties a week. And what I had proven to myself is that I can do it. I can get 6 to 8 parties booked a week. But am I able to give them the attention that I want? Some people absolutely can, and that's fantastic. And if you can and you feel like you're rocking it, go run with that. Seriously, that's amazing. But we all have different schedules. We all have different home lives. And so we're all going to be able to do different things. But I do recommend, as you both know, like, have 4 to 6 parties a week to be able to maintain your director and maintain your team. So you guys are on the right track. You're doing all the right things. And as your team grows and continues to build, you're going to have a wide variety of team members. So one of the best things that you can do is to understand how to best utilize the time that you have with your team. So one tip is to organize your team into A's, B's, and C's. And what I mean by this is A's are your top performers and your very new consultants. Those are the people also who want more from their business, and they're actually submitting shows and not just saying that they want more. I want to book more parties, but I'm not doing anything to do it. That is not something that you can put time into them, but if they continue to show you that they're not going to follow through with things that you're giving them and the trip tips that you're giving them. I had one margarita and I'm on fire and stuttering. But anyway, you're gonna catch on to that and realize, like, maybe they don't want it as badly as they say they want it. So the B's are those who are comfortable with where they're at with their business. They're like, I am completely happy. I'm active each month. I'm doing what I want. And I really don't want more. But also being able to recognize the difference between they genuinely do not want more and they're just scared to want more. They're scared to allow themselves to want more. And that's not always easy to recognize, but a lot of that just takes coaching and motivation and helping them work through those fears. And then your C's are those that are falling out of that funnel that we talked about last week. Those people who maybe at one point they were really rocking their business, but they're really not doing much anymore. They're not active. They're inconsistently active. And a lot of times with these people, they may even still say that they want it, but they're not doing anything about it. I encourage you to bless and release, because you can hold on to them and squeeze them and pet them and love them, but you're just going to smother them and they're going to go anyway. So at a certain point, you have to give them the freedom to decide what they want and to show you that they're willing to do the work. So the best thing to do with your team is to print out a team roster and organize your team into your A's, B's, and C's. Now at this point, you both have fairly small teams, between like 5 and 8 members, I believe. So it shouldn't be too hard to be able to identify these. And this is something that I do myself. And each month I update this. So I kind of know, like, okay, who am I working with? Who's writing things out and that's where they're happy? And who do I see phasing out of the business? You can even put this into an Excel spreadsheet if you want, so you can update it more easily that way, and then just highlight each name with a different color, however you choose to organize it. But use that guide when you're spending time with your team. And remember that potential does not always mean that they're a performer. So for example, if you have someone that has potential, but they're not performing or putting their walk into their talk, they're likely a B. Your A's are likely to be reaching out to you. You're keeping in touch with them. They're keeping you in the loop, and sending you the screenshots and all of those things. So with your B's, so your A's you're going to be talking to once a week, if not twice a week. Your B's you're going to want to check in with once a month, a touch base at the beginning of the month, see how their show schedule is going. I like to revisit, like, are you happy with where you're at with your business right now, or are you wanting more? And if it's someone that they've said they wanted more in the past, but they don't follow through, I'll even ask them permission or ask them if they're ready to commit to the things that it takes to make their business successful. If they say yes, I'll put a little bit more time into them, but I like 3 strikes and I'm like, I'm going to let you do your thing. When you're ready, you can come to me. And then your C's, you can check in with every 2 weeks, depending on how many shows they have. Some of them even quarterly. So, and as you're working with your team, there's 2 different ways to communicate or work with them. One is coaching, where you're their leader, helping them see the solutions for themselves and, and allowing them to come to the conclusions themselves by asking questions. The other is where you're doing trainings, and that's where you're simply directing them on what to do and telling them what they need to do for success. So a new consultant is a prime example of someone that you want to train, because they don't really know the tips and what they need to do to be successful. Like, you really do have to give them the foundation of what it takes to run their business. But a seasoned consultant, or someone that's not in their first month or 2, you're going to want to be more of a coach than a trainer. And so that means you're going to ask a lot of questions and that you're really there helping them. So the best thing that you can do is ask those questions rather than telling them what to do. And when you're working with someone, it's really easy just to give them the answer. But a lot of times, if they've been around for a month or 2, they already know the answer or have a feeling of what they should do or what the problem is. And so it's your job to kind of ask them the questions to work through that problem and help them discover their own solution to their problem. So let's say a team member comes to you and they share that they're struggling to get bookings. Your natural reaction might be to list off 1.5 million ways on how to get bookings and think that they should be good to go. I just told them how to get bookings. Instead, consider coaching them through that instead of training them. Excuse me. So it might sound like this. The consultant says, I'm struggling to get bookings. I've asked everyone that I know. And you as the director, like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. what have you tried to do to get bookings so far? And your consultant's like, I posted on my Facebook page that I was looking for hosts and I messaged some friends. You're like, that's great. How many people would you say you've messaged so far if you were to put a number to it? I think maybe 5. All right. And what are you saying when you're messaging those people? Well, I share the host special for the month and tell them all of the host perks and why they should host. I see. And how many people are responding to your messages and what are they saying or have been saying so far? Most of them are not responding. Some have seen the messages, some haven't. Well, what did you say when you followed up with those who saw it but didn't respond or have a chance to follow up? So you see how that's different than just being like, have you messaged the birthday folks? Have you messaged these people? And instead of just giving them the answer, there's a lot of questions that you can ask in order to help them identify what's going on. So as you can see, you ask multiple questions in that conversation. And as a good coach, your goal is to ask at least 3 questions before you start giving advice or training. And I know a lot about the situation, and I can help the consultant and have it tailored to them. So part of that is knowing more about the person that you're working with. So what do we know about this consultant and how could we help them? Not asking enough people, maybe oversharing when they're asking, possibly not following up, not having enough excitement in their message or through their social media posts. So what do we know? Now, when it comes time to actually helping them with this situation, the best thing to do as a coach is to ask permission to help give them ideas. Because if they're not open to your suggestions, they're not going to take the tips that you're giving them anyway. So it could sound a little something like this. You as the director are like, can I share some ideas with you that might help you with bookings? Of course, please do. So then share ideas that we talked about before. During that conversation, when we asked all the questions, we identified pretty quickly several different areas of things that they could improve on. So give them multiple ideas and then say, out of those ideas, which one would you like to try? So you can be like asking more people, following up, tweaking the words that you're saying. Give them the choice of something that they can improve on. And what you're doing as a leader in this situation is you're letting them take ownership of the action steps that they're committing to doing to improve their situation. So instead of you just giving it to them, they're owning that. And that's going to produce better results for the consultant because it helps them feel empowered in that, as opposed to feeling belittled and bombarded with ideas through those traditional training methods that a lot of us are just used to having. And this can really apply to any situation. So if they're struggling with recruits, lack of sales, having difficulty asking the 5 asks, you name it, the use of what, why, when, and then the how questions, that empowers those consultants where the use of the D questions, like did you, do you, those type of questions, that's generally going to make someone feel dumb or lower than you. And it's really all about empowering them and building them up. So I try to think of it as digesting what's going on and really figuring out the situation. And it's not always easy. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this at all, because I'm like, oh, do this. But a lot of times you have to help somebody come to what they might want to do before you just tell them what to do. And it takes lots of practice, and it will get easier with time too. So just keep practicing, and it will come to you more naturally as time goes on. And then on our last call, we briefly touched on the RSVP model. And I did want to talk a little bit more about time management and things that have helped me as a new director to manage my team. And it really comes down to systems and having your own personal business on autopilot. So, when you get in the groove of your business being a well-oiled machine, that gear just shifts really naturally. That frees up your time and energy to focus on your team and growing your own team, as well as coaching the current team that you have. So some things that have helped me are to have a daily list of things that I do every single week and every single day of the week. So for example, like I know on Mondays that I'm going to do X, on Tuesdays I do Z, on Wednesdays I do A, so etc. And every week stays the same. It's very consistent. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, if I can remember what day it is, I'm like, oh, today's Wednesday, I do this, even though all day long I've thought that today was Thursday. But let's all just plan that we know exactly what day it is. Kelsey, are you fixing a fishing pole? What are you doing? Oh no, that's a ratchet strap. Sorry, I'm like, oh, what is she doing? So anyway, when I'm looking at my week, and as well as time goes on, you're going to do this from a monthly perspective as well. So having a list of the things that you do helps you to be able to accomplish those things on autopilot. So keep doing those things. Your homework from now is to practice coaching versus training. Print out a team roster and highlight, or else make a list like I've got of your A's, B's, and C's. And then review the list of coaching questions that should be in the updated calls that Trisha put in the director chat. I did just try to access them because I wanted to do the newer one. I was curious what all she had updated, but it denied me access. And so we'll get that figured out so you can see. You guys are cracking me up. I don't know what you're doing, Kelsey. Never know what she's doing in there.
We brought the four-wheeler back from the lake today, so we're unloading it.
So given what we talked about today, do you guys feel like that's helpful information? Do you have more questions on anything? Do you feel like you need more direction on where to go for the next week?
Yes.
No, I'm fine.
Yes, Zach, what is it?
You need direction with. He doesn't even know.
Go east. Go east. No, that's not true. Go west. Either way, you're probably going to run into riots, so.
Yeah, probably.
Just stay home. She's like, lady, why do you even know my name?
Put the phone down and maybe you can try.
Kelsey, do you have any questions? Okay. You can work on your ratchet strapping. Jeanette, is there anything that you wanted to talk more about or any questions?
I don't think so. I think I need to review all of the stuff in the director page and just kind of, I don't know, I don't feel like coaching or training is really a strong suit of mine. So I just feel like I definitely need to improve on all things related to that. So.
Can you tell me more about why you feel that way?
I don't know. I mean, I just like going through the trainings and coaching with you, and it just seems to like come naturally, and you always seem to know exactly what to say. And then like I get on the phone with one of my girls and I'm just like at a loss of kind of like I'm like giving them advice, but like I don't know. I guess that's just something I struggle with, and I've never really excelled in that area. So it's just kind of getting over probably my insecurities and getting more comfortable with it too.
Yeah. Just from having conversations with you, I know that you are totally capable of excelling at this, but it is a comfort zone. And if you don't feel like you're a natural leader, I mean, I think it's hard for all of us. And it's funny that you say, like, I feel like they come so natural to you. And I'll get off the phone and I'm like, I am a bumbling idiot. Like, oh my gosh, do I ever shut up? So it does not come natural. And a lot of it, honestly, is practice. Have the conversations. And if you feel yourself going down that path of, have you done this? Have you tried this? Did you do this? It's okay to stop yourself. And if you've already started down that path, be like, wait, let's take a second and dissect things. Can you tell me more about what's going on? Who in the heck is that? I don't have friends in Butte. I believe it's pronounced butt.
Or booty. I've heard it called booty before.
Booty.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love it. But it's okay to stop yourself and be like, let's back this train up a little bit here. Like, let's talk more about this before we start diving into solutions. So even if you start going down there, you can always go back. And you've always got another coaching call that you're like, I feel like I can do better. Like, that was okay. I gave them some good ideas, but next time let's do better. And when you sit down to have that conversation, if you need to like write down, tell me more, or why do you feel, some of those things, and put it up in your office or wherever you sit, put it up on a sticky on your computer, whatever it is that you do. But those will give you some prompts of ways that you can learn more about the situation before you immediately dive into the solutions to what they're saying is their issue. And I've done that before. I've gone down this whole rabbit hole of like, oh, do this. And then as I learn more about the situation, I'm like, well, that does not pertain at all, because I didn't take the time to fully get what all was going on. So you're going to do great at it. Both of you are. It's just a matter of practice and continuing to have those conversations. And that's even in the beginning when I had 5 to 10 teammates, like I would try and have conversations with anyone that I thought was an A or a B, because I'm still hoping to foster that and just get the practice from those training calls or coaching calls. That's what I meant to say. And Kelsey can relate to me, like not having all the right words. On her phone call yesterday, one of her consultants is like, yeah, I don't do post my party. And I'm like, girl, you got to get it. It's like, she doesn't know me. And so I kind of had to apologize for just being my normal blunt self. Oh man. Have you guys started working on the Empower section in Dash? I was curious what your thoughts were on the trainings. Or is it Impact?
I just barely started.
That's okay. I mean, at least you started.
I missed the question, Kaylee. What did you ask?
Fired.
Sorry.
Okay.
Here.
What did I ask? Have you started working on the impact trainings for once you promote to director in Dash? No. Okay. I was just curious what you guys thought of them.
I haven't looked at Dash since I haven't locked it. Probably like my first like 20 training little videos, and then honestly I haven't, like, I've used those same ones multiple times, but I haven't gone to anything new above and beyond that.
Yeah. I will like go through binges of it, and then I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, there is some really helpful information in there, especially if you learn that way. I personally really learn well from like having conversations with people and by doing things, but there's even great resources in there in order to get ideas. So it is a good thing. I especially with when you used to promote to director, you got entered into a Rise to Success program. And so there were webinars, kind of like we're doing now, and a workbook. And instead of that, now we are doing all of it on Dash, and it's called Impact. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of good information in there. I still haven't dove into it yet either, but I want to. But there's stuff on time management and how to run your team, how to identify your team members. So I think as a new director and not having the Rise to Success program, that it is important that you do those things. So if I were you guys, like I would take 10 minutes a night just to get started on them, because I do think that you're going to find them helpful.
Okay.
And then Kelsey, I think you or Alexis asked last night about national conference late registration. Was that you? Anyway, you can still do the late registration. And then, maybe, okay. And then if you do, you guys are still welcome to come when we do a get together. And I just learned today that we should be in phase 3. And so we should be able to get together.
Breaking up. Hold on. I gotta disconnect.
I'm just gonna mute her for a second.
I think she was saying that we were breaking up.
Oh man. Well, if you have anything more, I'm happy to visit, but otherwise I think that we've kind of covered what we need.
Awesome. And are we having another meeting? Are these regular meetings then, or?
For the first 3, I say for the first 4 weeks. The first 3, next week will again be a little bit more of a formal training like this.
Okay.
And then after the week after that, I'd like to still follow up so we can like wrap up any last month or last minute end of month things and any questions that you guys might have.
Okay.
And then from there we can decide, do we want to just plug into like our upper level leaders and their calls, or do we want to continue doing this? So we can kind of just gauge it and see what we all want. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yep.
Okay. All right.